watching Medfield TV, community shows.
Welcome to Live Your Passion. I'm your host, Alex Stephen from Life Transforming Treasures. On Live Your Passion, our guests share their stories and challenges and how they embrace and overcame them. Hopefully, you can use some of their wisdoms to help you on your journey. I'm an author, a speaker, and a life transformation coach. Please go to my website, alexstephen.com, for free resources. This morning, my guest is Shelby Pierce. Good morning, Shelby. Welcome.
Good morning, Alex. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming, and please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Shelby Pierce, and I am the founder of Calling All Angels, a music series, a producer, and a patient liaison, in which we do health coaching as well.
Yeah, so thanks for being here. I know you have a very deep story, and we'll get into it. And before we continue, I want to say today is Shelby's birthday. Shelly's birthday. Shelby's birthday.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thanks a lot for being here, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Shelby Pierce.
Thank you very much.
So
it's an honor.
Yeah. So you're celebrating on the set today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you went through some challenges. Things were going good in your life, and then you got into this imbalance. Things, health-wise, you were affected.
Yes, it got difficult.
Yeah. So you could share with the audience a little bit what those challenges were.
Certainly. Yeah. Well, fortunately, it was many years ago now, but I got into a very challenging time for a while, which was I began to experience depression, and it was, really quite disruptive and at times rather scary, just by the nature of the state. So that was going on for quite some time. I was, experiencing some of the characteristics, things that one does, difficulty with concentration and certainly energy and focus, and it was really quite disruptive. But that's what was going on then. Yeah,
and so that affected you, I could assume, physically, socially. Tell us some of the things, how that disrupted your life. So to speak.
Certainly, it did affect me in those ways. First, it just made and not that it was always at the most acute point, but it made things in terms of functioning day to day more difficult because one experiencing that state will often have difficulty in concentration.
Right.
There'll be certainly not the normal level of energy. There's also a all-pervasive sense, especially if it's a more acute moment, of really being disconnected.
Yeah.
So even if you're surrounded by your dearest family, dearest friends and loved ones, it is not felt in what would be the normal way.
Okay, so you still had that, you felt disconnected even though they were there for you.
Absolutely. It was really quite a scary thing. And sometimes just, the way I speak to it, I say, well, that experience, especially at points, was really a coldness. But it's not precisely temperature. Okay. It's just a feeling of disconnection.
A feeling of disconnection.
And what I realized sometime later is that when I was speaking about this experience of the depression, unless the person that I was speaking to actually had the experience of the depression, they could not understand.
Could not understand.
They, of course, were empathetic.
Yeah.
There was a lot of compassion.
Right.
I'm the luckiest person in the world with regard to my, my family and friends, and the people that were helping me also, with the treatment. But it's just that. It's a very strange feeling.
Very strange. So how does this affect your work and things like that?
Well, at certain points, through a longer period, luckily I was able to continue to work.
To continue.
A lot of the time, but at a couple of more, I'll say, acute points where the illness was really hitting me hard.
Yeah.
It disrupted the work in such a way that I had to stop working.
Wow.
And it was, sometimes for shorter periods of time, maybe a week or so, a few weeks.
Yeah.
And at other times, it went on really much longer.
Yeah.
It affected me for, certain points across, say, a whole year.
Wow. So it affected you, I mean, physically, health-wise, socially, and work-wise, safe to say, financially, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it was very disruptive to
very
all those areas,
all
and
those
certainly
areas.
the financial area, because, you do have a significant interruption in your work schedule, and in my case, until I was able to, by the power of grace, get back on track.
Get back on track, yeah. So that's a pretty rough experience, and like you say, people who haven't been through it, it's hard to understand. You could empathize, but the good thing you start off by saying it was many years ago, so you have come a long way.
Yes.
So in that time, how were you dealing with it? Medication? Tell us some of the, things that helped. Some of the challenges you had with the medication.
With the medicine?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I was lucky. I didn't have, especially in the beginning, a broad medication regimen. I was able to just begin with a medication initially, and then add a couple of medications. I am a person who very rarely takes aspirin, literally, and have been very fortunate with my health for most of my life until this happened. So that was quite a surprise.
Right.
But what I was able to do is speak with the very practical steps to some really excellent, my excellent doctor at the time, and then just develop a program, and it did begin to improve things. The thing that does happen, which I think many people experiencing the illness encounter, is that some people are more treatment resistant. So when they take the traditional medicines, it doesn't always work too well.
Yeah.
And that was my experience at certain points.
So that was a challenge in itself, trying to get treatment and overcome it.
Absolutely, because the doctor is trying to work to get things balanced, or if there's a few people helping. And it's very frustrating and very difficult for the family and friends as well, because they want you to be better.
Yeah.
And it sometimes, can really be very slow. But I always say, look for the diamonds in the rough.
Look for the diamonds in the rough. So all through this experience, I mean, it was disruptive. There was an imbalance, so to speak. You had your family and friends supporting you.
Yes, I was very lucky.
Yeah, but in addition to that, you share something with me. You never gave up on your faith.
That's right.
And that's one thing, if you could talk a little more about that, because in the challenging times, when things are easy going and going our way, it's, things are easy. And you can say,
that's
okay,
a little
I have
easier,
faith.
isn't it?
Yeah, but when you're really tested, so to speak, and you have these challenges, tell us a little bit about your experience and how you held on to that faith, and how it, what was the experience for you?
Sure. Well, I'm very fortunate with the people that are in my life. My mother, my brother, my girlfriend, and some close associates and friends, too numerous to mention here. And what happened with the faith aspect is it really, for me, was the starting point. And so because of these strong examples in my life and because of my own experience of it, not all the time, but some, I was fortunate to have that basis. I now think of it as a healing point that was very significant for me, was what I call the point to which, in answer to a prayer, the unmistakable touch of grace was present.
Yeah.
And that to me is a power that's greater than myself. So I certainly did not feel that all the time, especially when the illness was really, more acute.
Yeah.
Because you just feel numb. But anyway, that was for me a starting point. And I had the opportunity to meet my mentor in Canada, a musician and a metaphysician, Mr. Kenneth Mills. And he helped me begin to see things musically and in the way in which I in the way in which I observe things.
Yeah.
In a different manner.
Yeah. But I know you had shared your brother invited you to go for a walk, and being in that situation, something like when the sickness was acute, you wasn't in that mood to go out for a walk.
Oh, absolutely.
And how did that change things for you? Share with us.
Absolutely. Well, what you're referring to, I think, Alex, is my brother, who is one of, talk about being grateful for somebody in my life. That one day that you're speaking to, we went out for a walk, and I honestly don't even know how I got out of the house because I felt so terrible that day. And we started to walk towards the river, close to the house, and honestly, I said to myself, well, I have to pray. And then it came, well, I can't pray, which had never happened to me. I mean, we all have our moments in our lives that we might feel a little more disconnection or a little lower. But it came that I can't pray. And in words, I could say it this way. It was simply because I didn't feel worthy, which fortunately, because of my good luck and the spirit to which we're speaking of, hadn't happened to me in that same way ever. But a prayer did come as we walked towards the river. My brother was just ahead of me.
It came to you.
It just came to me. And I didn't even say it out loud. And it was a point of surrender and, simply amounted to, please help me, God. And it wasn't the first time I said those words. But I knew in that moment that everything changed.
You felt the shift.
I felt a shift. I knew in that moment that everything changed. And I didn't feel differently. I still was walking with my brother. I was still feeling extremely anxious. And I didn't feel, too hopeful at all. But I knew that the power of love had changed my experience right there.
Right, yeah. And that was a turning point for you. That was a shift there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the most significant I ever experienced to be, to experience.
Yeah. So that's good. That's good. And then you had, your mentor, Mr. Mills in Canada.
Yes.
So tell us a little more about that, because it seems to open up a whole new paradigm for you. The music and what you discovered there and how it helped heal your illness.
Yes. Well, certainly. I think the best way that I could speak to it, because his gifts and what he offered as a musician, as a conductor, as a metaphysician, as an artist, as a business person, is really to relay one experience. And the experience was that I was fortunate to be asked to come to a music rehearsal of the Starscape Singers, which is his extraordinary singing ensemble, 13 voices, and they were 7 times in Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
And I, to my surprise, found myself there.
Yeah.
And at this rehearsal, he had asked us to join him in, and asked me specifically. And when I heard the music that evening, I had another one of those experiences, which for me was sound healing. When I heard the sound of this music, these extraordinary people singing in the way in which they do, it was another healing moment.
Another healing moment.
Yeah.
The sound, the music.
That's it.
So that opened on something new to you. And and then he became like your mentor, so to speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. He became my mentor and teacher, and he had remarkable gifts which he offered to us.
Yeah.
And really, what he was doing in one regard was, I guess you could say, showing us that things aren't always as they appear, and that the power of love, the Spirit, God, Buddha, whatever it is that you call it,
Yeah.
is present with us in every moment,
Yeah.
really for the asking, and sometimes even when we don't ask.
That's the grace aspect.
That's right. You have it. That's right.
You don't ask, and it's given to you.
That's
And,
right.
you know, that's a good point, you know, and people come from different belief systems, but there is a higher power.
Yes,
higher
there
than
is.
us, you know, whatever you believe in, but tap into that higher power. And, you know, so much could be done, so much, you know, could be directed your way. And like you said, grace and your, you know, you call it the unmistakable touch of grace.
Yes.
You know, and this is the name of this segment. And we're talking about grace, how grace played such a big role in your life, in your turnaround, so to speak. So in terms of how you overcame this illness, the walk with your brother was, you know, the first turning point. And then with your mentor, Mr. Mills, and the music. You know, I love music. As you know, you met my daughter, Charisma.
Yes, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she has a
She's a
degree in
musician,
music.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our granddaughter plays the violin.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a music family. And music is very therapeutic.
Yes, it's,
You know.
it's very powerful because
Powerful.
it really goes right to our essence, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what I hear you saying, Shelby, is, you know, the love that you had around you, your mom, your girlfriend, your brother, you know, supporting you. And then you had your faith. You never gave up on God, and God never gave up on you.
That is so. I'm
Yeah.
very lucky. That's why I
Yeah.
say the unmistakable
The
touch of grace.
The
Yeah.
unmistakable touch of grace. And then you were fortunate to meet Mr. Mills. And
Yeah.
nothing happens by accident.
No,
or
I don't think so. I
coincidence.
actually met him many years ago, and before, in fact, I took the walk with my brother because, you know, of the music
Yeah.
and all else that was going on. And that point in which my brother and I walked, that was one of
Yeah.
those really difficult, critical points.
Yeah.
That you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It was an extremely important turning point for me,
Yeah.
which I remain grateful for.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty good. So all through this process and trying to, you know, heal the illness, you were in prayer, you were in gratitude, you were praying, you were asking for help. And
Well, not all through the illness, because when the illness is raging, you might say, you can't feel
disconnected.
gratitude.
Yeah.
You can't feel the beauty of a loved one being present with you.
Okay.
You don't have awareness in the same way, you could say in a human way, of that person, you know, caring or loving you. You know they're there. You're
Yeah.
grateful that they're there on some level.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that feeling of disconnection.
Disconnection.
The thing that's amazing is that, in fact, even what I discovered is that even when we feel disconnected, that love, that power that we're speaking about never lets us go. It's there even if we can't feel it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, and so you move, this wasn't an overnight thing to overcome.
Oh no, it went on for loosely more. It was a bit more than 10 years.
More than 10 years.
Yeah.
So you want the audience to know that it's not overnight.
No.
And like you said, which is very important, when the illness is acute, you don't have these emotions. You're not thinking logically.
Right.
But when it eased up, so to speak, it wasn't cured fully. You were in gratitude.
Absolutely.
You were praying. You were connected to your brother and your mom and your mentor. So there were times, there were intervals where you could do this, but
Absolutely.
it wasn't consistent.
That's right.
So you want people to hear this, so it's over a period
Yes, that's
of time.
very important because we don't always have the occasion to realize that. I sit here with joy and happiness and gratitude right now today, but everything that happened over the course of that time, including the joyful things, including the good times when the illness was not raging, and including the difficult times, brought me right to this moment with you here.
Yeah, it's all good. So, you've been through a tough time and there were things that shifted you away from it, get you to the healing point and kept your faith strong. Or I could say made it stronger. And so where you are now, you're doing a lot of different things, so you want to share with the audience where you are now.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, I have the chance to focus now on, it's what I call my day job, and that is because of two of the people that I have as dear friends as well as colleagues, and that work is at a small medical practice in Lexington, Mass. The practice is called Boston Mind Care. And what they do is they provide a ketamine infusion for severe depression. And that is a medical treatment. It's considered a newer medical treatment for that. It is not something, because of the good luck that I was speaking to you about just a little while back, that I have had direct experience with. But I am absolutely amazed to see how it works and helps so many people to feel better. So they kindly asked me to help them, and just about 3 years ago, to open up this practice. And we are able to just provide the medical treatment there and support the mental health side with some wonderful people, doctors.
Yeah.
And that's really been, I feel that the Lord, the power of love, led me to that door at the right intersection.
Guided
and my
you
friend Eric and the medical director, Dr. Lagarda, is just doing wonderful work.
Yeah, and you could understand what the patient's going through because you've been through that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I was, the way I say that is I don't know your experience if I'm speaking to a particular person.
Yeah.
But I have an idea what field you're in. So I have a sense, and sometimes there is a moment that I'm just able to offer one or two things from my experience in recovery, which is ongoing. And when I am able to offer that, it seems to help sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So that's giving back, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Giving back to the people who similar situation to what you were in. So that's what you're doing, like you said, your day job. Well, let's talk about your passion. You live in your passion now, and you're into music in a big way,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be pleased to. Well, I do feel passionate about the work at the medical practice, for sure.
Yeah.
It is in a field. The music work that you're speaking of, we're very excited about, and I am especially excited about it. It is the Calling All Angels, a music series. And that is a live artist series in which we are featuring a group of 3 artists in each program series. We had the chance to begin with a wonderful artist whose name is Brad Terry. He's an incredible jazz player, and he was mentored to his instrument clarinet by Benny Goodman, and he's played with people like Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
And we were fortunate to have him come in and just do a wonderful show for us, a wonderful concert performance for us in a smaller venue. We call it living room concerts. And that began the series in this past April. And then a wonderful artist, Nora Bankert, came in from Canada, who is a singer and in fact a member formerly of the Starscape, because Mr. Mills has now passed away. And the 3rd artist will be coming up, we trust, a young pop artist in the fall.
In the fall this year. Yeah.
So in the fall this year is just a wonderful artist, and we'll be, stay tuned for that information.
And you organizing all this and getting all these events going.
Yes, well, I am. I'm also fortunate to be working with on the music projects, a smaller but really wonderful group of people. And I think one thing that Dr. Mills taught me is look to things from that perspective which is not personal. In other words, because of the spirit and because of what we're really speaking about here, so many things happen that we don't understand, but they happen, don't they?
They happen, yeah. They're going to happen is how we react to it and our perception of it. That's how it will affect us, basically. So you into the medical on the daytime job, so to speak. You organizing the music, and the music going to be going international too. That's your plan? There is a plan for an international program. But that will be quite a few years away. So it's in the works.
It's in the works, but the ones that are happening are what Brad calls the living room concerts.
The living room concert.
And we did 2 of those. The last one happened in this past November in a wonderful place called the Green Room in the Boston area. And so that's right. We had the chance to meet the artist who I think will be our 3rd artist coming into the fall.
Into the fall. Sounds good.
Acoustic piano and voice, kind of similar to Elton John.
Oh, big stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all good. So right now you're in a place where, like you said at the beginning, it's the disease, illness was a while back, and you're in a better place now. Like you say, it's ongoing recovery, taking your medications and staying in this space, but you're in a much better place now.
Oh, absolutely.
Much better place. You got to open up into the music, which, like you said, the sound is healing to you, and this is what we want people to hear. There are different things. Go out there. It's not easy when you're sick, or it may not be a sickness, but whatever challenge, it's tough. But you listen to your brother. You say up to this point, you still don't know how you got out of the room to go for that walk.
That's right.
But it shifted.
That's right.
That's where the shift started. And then meeting Mr. Mills, there was another shift into a whole new avenue there, a whole trajectory change.
That's right. Well, I met Mr. Mills first many years before the point that we were speaking to about my dear brother. And that was with him was extremely, it was a great blessing.
Yeah, great blessing. Yeah, so, great story, a lot of things you share that I'm sure will help people who's looking at this show. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I'll mention just a few more things. One is that somebody did say to me, her name is Clara Angelina, and at a point that wasn't the most terrible point in an illness sense, she said to me one day, she said, "Shelby, what are you doing to feed your soul?" And since I was feeling depressed, I wasn't feeling that too well at all, the sense of that or the connection again. But it was really another blessing for me and so helpful, because the next day I decided I was going to go down to the Museum of Fine Arts and just look at some paintings. And so I didn't really have the most inspirational experience or great experience that day because I didn't feel well.
Yeah.
But there was something about being, for me, in those, in front of those paintings that made a huge difference. So I would encourage that, even if it feels like, you know, you'll never have that feeling of connection ever again. I would encourage trying to do things, even if it's just a few minutes at a time, that you at least recall, if one is experiencing depression, that you at least recall you usually like. And the other few things I would mention would be, it's important to have a good doctor and a doctor that listens to you. And when you are making the medical adjustments or the medicine adjustments, for some people it's going down on medicines, for some people it's going up on medicines. When you're making those types of adjustments, for me it was going down, have somebody that can help you with that. And the last few things I guess I would mention specific to that question would be, at the right time, try and reach out and, even if it's really hard, just begin to get some people that you can have in your corner that you can speak to, maybe especially people at least at the right time that have experienced the illness. Even though we don't know one another's exact experience, we can learn something from each other. And the stigma and the difficulty that comes with that particular diagnosis somehow is lessened when you realize you're not alone. And the last thing I guess I would say there is, again, at the right timing, maybe find a program or an exercise or a walk or a hobby, something that helps you establish or reestablish your rhythm during your day, because your work, in my case, my work was disrupted, my usual hobbies, my family things were disrupted. So at the right time, I took some steps to do some learning and some study, and then simple things like a walk or a cup of tea with a friend. So anyway, there it is.
Yeah.
Those are a few thoughts. I hope it's helpful for someone.
Yeah, well, you know, very deep story, you know, how life was going well for you and things changed. You know, you had that imbalance, so to speak, for a number of years, but you never gave up. You know, you always prayed to God, you asked for help.
That's true.
And your family was there. You knew Mr. Mills from before, but you didn't, I don't think you anticipated he would have been so important in your life at that time when you had the illness.
That's so.
And then
Yes,
open up
I didn't.
the music, open up, you know, a new healing avenue for you, so to speak, the sound. And now you're into music and, you know, helping people who are fighting depression, so to speak. So, you know, giving back in a lot of ways, and I know you're going to be doing great things with the music. So, and
we're very excited about it.
Thanks for the
Very
nuggets. Yeah, thanks for the nuggets that you share with the audience.
Sure.
And, you know, really happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Alan.
yeah. How could people get in touch with you? People who like to...
Yeah, they can take a look at our website, which is Calling All Angels, the number 3. Let me just say it again. It's Calling All Angels, the number 3.com. And the email is info@callingallangels3.com.
Yeah.
We'd be glad to receive, receive information and share information about our upcoming programs. And thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for gracing us with your presence. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Alex. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to have you here. And I just want to show a couple of my books that I have. I know that you have a copy of this
I do,
one,
thanks
which
to
is
you,
Courage
yeah.
in Our Hearts.
It's a new book. I do.
So, and we have a couple other books, IP Goals Made Easy, and Discover Your Inner Treasure. They're all on Amazon. And the other book I have is Inspirational Life Quotes, a collection for your daily motivation. And I like to read the quote of the day on the show. And the quote for today is, "The inspiration you seek is already within you. Be silent and listen." Rumi. And today is Shelby's birthday, like I said earlier. We're so grateful to have him on the show. And my granddaughter asked me who I was having on the show today. I told her last week, and she said, I told her Shelby, and it'll be his birthday. So she made a birthday card for him.
That's so sweet of her.
So
That's so sweet.
Ravina made a card for you, and I'll put it in the book. And
thank you so much.
This book is for you, and with the card, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're
And could I
welcome.
also just mention one other person
Sure.
on a note of thanks, and that's Mr. Alan Dagba,
Yeah.
who is the person who actually introduced us.
Yeah, and he's been on the show, and we're going to be doing great things together too.
Indeed. I look
Yeah.
forward to hearing about that
Yeah.
for sure and being there.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for joining us. Again, I'm Alex Stephen, your host. You could get free resources on my website, alexstephen.com, and you could reach me at info@alexstephen.com. Thanks a lot, and have a great day. See you next time.
You're watching Medfield TV Community Shows.